Hello everyone, my name is Helga and you're on my anime channel. Today we're going to discuss the current summer anime season. I'm gonna tell you about the series that I'm watching and give my opinion about them. So without further ado, let's go. As usual, I'm going to start with the continuations, and this season I'm watching two, which are My Next Life as a Villainess and Higurashi When They Cry Sotsu. The first one is a title about a girl who reincarnated in an otome game as the main villainess and is trying to avoid her doom. It's a light-hearted reverse harem with a devoted main character who always tries to think about the worst thing that might happen in every situation, and this is what I like her for. The second season of the show hasn't disappointed me so far in terms of its humor. However, I'm not a big fan of the direction of the romantic plotline of Katarina. Now everything is predicting her ending up with the character that I personally like the least and find the most underdeveloped within the cast. Do you feel the same way? Share your non-spoiler opinions in the comments. I think Higurashi doesn't need a special introduction. This season is the continuation of Higurashi When They Cry Go, which I had mixed feelings about. But I really want to know how this arc wraps up, that's why I'm watching it. I also like the atmosphere of a scorching summer in a small village and how they explain some things that were a total mystery in the previous season. However, at times it feels a little repetitive, but I think I will be able to give my full review only when it ends. And we're moving to the new shows that have come out this summer. I need to say that I was really shocked when I found out how many Isekai titles there were in this season, apart from My Next Life as a Villainess and That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime, second season part 2. I guess now to see an anime of other genres is more surprising than another Isekai series. I'm personally watching two of them, and the first one is The Dungeon of Black Company, where the main character, who is kinda lazy by his nature, finds himself enslaved by an evil mining company in a fantasy world. I like such reimaginings of isekai genre where the protagonist doesn't become an overpowered hero and has to overcome some difficulties and learns important life lessons. I also enjoy comedic isekai like Cautious Hero, that's why I like this one too. One more isekai show that I'm watching is called Tsukimichi and tells a story about a high school boy summoned to a fantasy world but rejected by its goddess because she found him ugly. Being abandoned, he meets various non-human species and learns the art of magic and combat. I also like the humor in this show and the awkward situations the main character finds himself in. Wait, there is one more show in this season that can be considered isekai or reverse isekai for that matter. It's The Great Jahi Won't Be Defeated, which tells the story of the number 2 authority from the demon realm who finds herself stranded in the human world with a childlike appearance. This premise reminded me a lot of The Devil is Part-Timer, which I had really enjoyed. That's why I started watching this show, and it hasn't disappointed me so far. Some jokes, especially ones connected with the Jahi subordinate from the demon world, don't properly work for me, but it's still a fun title to watch. The next category is my favorite one, which is time travel. I'm really glad that this genre has become more popular this year. Last season, I was watching two time travel shows, which are Tokyo Revengers, which still continues, and a Chinese anime called Link Click. I don't like the theme of game rivalry in the first one, but I still enjoy the time travel aspect of it. And this summer, there is also the show called Remake Our Lives. It's about a failed game developer who gets disappointed in his career and one day realizes he had traveled 10 years back to the time before he entered college. I loved this synopsis when I read it, but the show itself turned out to be a little different from what I was expecting. There is a lot of fan service that doesn't quite match the narrative, in my opinion, but I like the characters and I really appreciated the song from The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya making an appearance. So I'll continue watching this show and see how it will turn out. I'm also watching the only mystery show this season called The Detective Is Already Dead because I usually enjoy detective stories. It's about a boy who gets dragged into being an assistant to a young girl claiming to be a detective. They start working together, preventing disasters and saving people's lives. However, 3 years later, the girl dies and the boy decides to quit this risky business until one day he meets someone who reminds him of his partner. So far, this show is kind of a mess for me, but an intriguing mess. It has some fantasy elements as well as some requisites of the mecha genre. The plot goes back and forth from the present to the past, and sometimes it's hard to keep up with it. However, it's definitely quite unique, so I can recommend checking it out. There is also the series called Aquatopo White Sand, which tells the story of two girls from different backgrounds trying to save the aquarium from closing. It's a nice slice of life show of Okinawa with its picturesque views almost being its own character. There are also some magical elements ingrained in the story, but it's like magical realism, so they kind of work as a background for the main events. The only thing that bugs me a little is that this show is going to have 24 episodes, which is usually quite long for a slice of life story, but we'll see how it goes. And last but not least is Oramichi Onisan, which is a comedic title about a former sportsman who is working as a presenter in a kids' show. This series is probably the most difficult one to describe because it's not so much about the plot, but about the experience. The main character is a cynical and depressed 30 something guy who tries to teach the kids life lessons that will help them to avoid the mistakes he has made. And the rest of the cast is also fascinating to follow. It includes two of Vermichi's university buddies who perform in the costumes of a bear and a bunny, as well as two singers who also have their specific personalities. With all the characters being around my age, I can often relate to the troubles they face, as well as the thoughts about the future they have. So I can really recommend this show to people in their late 20s or early 30s. Tell me about the shows you're watching this season in the comments below. Maybe there are some series that I haven't paid attention to but are really worth checking out. Also, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet, and click the little bell icon to get all the notifications about my new anime related videos. I hope to see you all soon. Bye!